probably the most active, definitely the one I have personally had the most experiences with. She's also kind of become my little buddy recently, so take that with a grain of salt, I guess. But with that being said, this story is a story of Miss Alice Riley. Now, Alice Riley and her husband first came over to Savannah from Ireland in 1733 when the city was first founded. Now, unfortunately, they could not quite afford the full trip over here, so when they got here, they became indentured servants. For those who don't know what indentured servants are, basically you work for somebody for a number of years without payment. Eventually your debts are paid off, you're going to go about your way. Well, unfortunately for Alice and her husband, they were assigned to mean old Mr. Wise. Now, Mr. Wise was so cruel and so evil that the city of Savannah genuinely did not want him here. But they weren't going to pay for him to go back over to Ireland, so they put him over on Hutchinson Island, the island just on the river, told him to stay put there and to never come over to the mainland. Now, like I said, unfortunately, Alice and her husband were assigned to him, and they would have to do horrendous chores and tasks throughout the house and property. Now, Alice would have to give him his daily, sometimes twice daily bath, was horribly mistreated by him, and her husband would have to pick the lice and the bugs out of his beard and his hair. He was an exceptionally dirty, disgusting, horrible, horrendous old man. Now, fast forward about 8 months into their servitude, and the couple have decided that they're done with it. They can't deal with Alice anymore. They're through they can't deal with Mr. Wise anymore. They're through putting up with him. They've got to get out of this contract somehow. Well, the only way to get out of the contract for him to die one way or another. So one night when Alice is giving him his nightly bath, her husband sneaks into the bathroom, and as Alice has his head down, washing his hair, her husband sneaks around, pulls a handkerchief around his throat as Alice shoves his head in the water, and they wait for the bubbles to stop. Now they try to grab a few valuable things and make a run for it, but like I said, they were on an island. Couldn't really get too far. And they were brought right here, ladies and gentlemen. This was our hanging square. This was our hanging square, the CVS on the corner over there. You can kind of see the red awning from here. That was our first jail. Courthouse is right here across the street, although not the original courthouse where the original courthouse stood. Then all those lovely shops we just walked past, well, guess what that was? I'll give you a clue. Savannah's a city built on its dead. That was our first cemetery. That cemetery was used from 1733 till 1750, and they then moved over to Colonial Park. Now Alice's husband was brought over here first. He got no trial, no mercy, no last words, no nothing. Got him ready up with him. Now Alice was drug over here next, and the whole way she's screaming and crying, "Please don't kill me, I'm not ready, please don't kill me, wait, you can't kill me." Because I'm pregnant. And back in those days, it was a sin to kill a pregnant woman. Now, she was still very early on in her pregnancy, not quite showing signs yet, so they threw her over in the CVS. Waited for her to show signs of pregnancy, which Alice Riley was a lot of things, but she was no liar. Did eventually show signs of pregnancy. Now, fast forward the usual 9 months, and Alice has since been accused of being a witch. The city of Savannah decides that they do not want her to have any influence on her unborn child. So when she goes into labor, the usual 9 months later, they quite literally rip the baby out of her. She's never able to see, hold, name, nothing to her baby boy. And as soon as she's finished being in labor, they drag her right back over here. The whole way she's screaming and crying, "Please let me see my baby once, let me hold him once, let me even just name him, please, something." And unfortunately for Alice, and honestly the rest of Savannah, she was never granted these final wishes. They're getting her ready up on the gallows, and they pause. They say, "Alice, we realize what we've done to you has been quite cruel. So, unlike your unlucky husband, we will allow you a few final words. What would you like to say?" And with her final words in her native language of Gaelic, she curses the city of Savannah for eternity, specifically the mothers and children. By the time she could get her curse out, well, it was already too late. That was that. Up she went, and there she stayed for 3 days to be made an example of. Now, where did her body go after those 3 days? Nobody's really sure. The Good Samaritan could have picked her up and put her over in the first cemetery, or, and honestly, more likely, something much worse probably happened to her body, but we genuinely don't know. Now, Alice Riley, you better believe she still haunts and curses the square to this day. People see a person, a lady, just like you or me, but she'll be wearing a long white tattered dress. She has red curly hair. She'll run around the square screaming and crying, "My baby, my child, I can't find my son, I've lost him, somebody please help." A good Samaritan will go up to her and say, "Ma'am, how can I help you? Where did you last see your baby? What can I do?" They'll offer to call the police. Well, the police only send the rookies out here, tell them not to come back till they found the mother or the child. Your witch. Alice is also very commonly seen as both a black and a white apparition, depending on the mood she's in. She's also very commonly felt, especially by women and children. Ladies who walk through the square will oftentimes feel a tug on their clothing. Or if a new mother walks through the square with a baby in her arms, mothers have oftentimes reported feeling a tug on their arms, as if Alice is trying to take the baby from them. You guys better hold on tight to that stroller, because one moment you're going to turn around, take some pictures of the monument. Next moment, that stroller's going to be hightailing it on the other side of the square. Now, Alice is also very commonly seen up in the trees, specifically the large one in the corner right here. And she'll sit in that V, squat like a frog, and jump down to the ground and scream at you.
That was good.
Now, like I said, I myself have both seen and heard Alice on several occasions. The most defined time that I saw her, it was a very bright white apparition. It wasn't a full form though, just kind of a blob. It flew past that tree just about halfway up it. And when I heard her, I have heard her scream. It's very quiet, very muffled, but it had the intensity of a scream. And it sounded like it was coming from right next to me. It was on a super quiet night in Savannah. It was one of those things where I know for a fact what I heard is definitely not something I'll ever forget. So, with that being said, that is Miss Alice Riley. Would you guys like to try and experiment with her?
Yeah.
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 Yes.
Ready?
Yes.
No. No.